it's intrusive, but unfortunately in this day and age, what we see, it's a necessary evil.
Part of revamped security following last year's deadly bombings, the Boston Athletic Association has banned various items for the 2014 Boston Marathon. They include most types of bags, including handbags and backpacks, containers with more than 1 liter of liquid, costumes covering the face, strollers, and bulky clothes such as vests with pockets. Runners have been told they cannot take these items anywhere near the 26-mile course. Clear plastic bags provided by the organizers, small fanny packs for medication, cell phones, and fuel belts that could hold a bottle under 1 liter will be permitted. Large flags or signs bigger than 11 inches by 17 inches also banned from marathon venues. Marathon venues include the start and finish areas, the course, athletes' village, and areas where official events are held. Unregistered runners and cyclists who jump into the race along various points are not welcome this year either. The bombs placed in backpacks exploded near the finish line last year, killing 3 people. Hello and welcome to America's Forum. I'm J.D. Hayworth, in for John Bachman. Joining me in studio this hour is former FBI counterterrorism expert and founder of the Jenkins Group, Chad Jenkins. Chad, we're so glad you could take time out to be with us here today.
Well, thanks for having me here, J.D. I really appreciate it.
Let's talk about these actions taken for the 1-year anniversary of that attack at the Boston Marathon. Are they reasonable? Are they an overreaction? Do you think the Boston Athletic Club made the right decision?
Well, you look at the provisions that are in place right now, they're much in line with major sports here in the United States. The NFL went with this methodology just about last football season, as well as the MLB and the NBA. So I think it's the right course. Fans and citizens are used to coming to the events with the clear bags, and that's just going to be a new type of environment we have to deal with when we go to special events, specifically sporting special events.
As Americans, we've had this tension since our founding between freedom or liberty and security. And so we see it now again in this situation. You mentioned the clear plastic bags and some of the measures taken by the NFL, Major League Baseball, the NBA, and now the Boston Athletic Club. There are some people who say, now wait a minute, for those leagues, it's just new licensing opportunity to sell prescribed merchandise with logos that remain transparent. But to the larger point of terrorism and what can transpire, I believe it was in the wake of the attack by the Irish Republican Army at Brighton in the United Kingdom back when the late Margaret Thatcher was Prime Minister. She came out of the powder room before the bomb exploded. She was safe, and there was a response saying, oh, you were lucky this time. We only have to be lucky once. The asymmetrical nature of terror attacks, it must drive law enforcement crazy to try to prepare for the eventualities.
Absolutely, and the security really takes place prior to the event even taking place. The best defense is a good offense. We have to be out there both intelligence gathering and investigative gathering prior to the event even taking place. That's intelligence sharing across the board, much like what we saw with the Sochi Olympics, or lack thereof. Now, thank goodness nothing has transpired over in Sochi, but that cross-talk between the intelligence, not only domestically here in the United States, but internationally when the threat deems most likely from an international foe.
Now, you mentioned the Sochi Olympics, and with the headlines now, the unrest in the Ukraine, of course, prior to the Olympics, the concern was about Chechnyan rebels, some act of terror that we saw repeatedly in the Soviet Union, and then, of course, we saw here last year at the Boston Marathon. I don't really want to call him President Putin anymore, because given his actions to coalesce power again, would Leader Putin be well advised, even as he is trying to perpetrate his designs in the Ukraine, to keep an eye on the Chechnyan rebels and the separatists there?
Oh, absolutely. If you see the Russian military move into Ukraine, I think you will definitely see the Chechnyan fighters go ahead and join in any type of rivalry that they can fight the Russians at any point in time. That's definitely a viable threat, and I'm sure he has that in his back pocket, thinking about that repercussion.
We take a look at the scourge of international terrorism, and one of the topics that comes up, and certainly something when I was serving in Congress that always concerned me, what I perceive to be our failure to secure our borders and our ports of entry. While that political debate or that political inertia sets in Washington, D.C., as a former FBI counterterrorism expert, now in private industry dealing with security threats, how frustrating is it to fail to really get control of our borders?
Well, I'm really glad you brought that up, JD. That's something that I'm passionate about, without a doubt. When you talk about this, it's such a dynamic situation. We're talking about immigration reform, the threat of individuals here in the homeland already here. And I think one of our biggest susceptibilities is our visa program. We allow thousands upon thousands of foreign nationals to come into our country and come on a visa program, and then we don't enforce it when they actually violate their visa status. And there's no good ability right now to track those individuals and to send them back. So the illegals coming across the Mexican border, yes, that's a threat. But the higher threat is the individuals who come here legitimately on visas, and there's no recourse for when they violate their visa status.
The visa overstayed. The common problem is a lack of resources, and now a decision to have military cutbacks and more cutbacks in terms of our national defense. Only about 30 seconds. Give us your take on what's happening in terms of those reduced resources and manpower in our military.
I think it's a shame. I think at the end of the day, when you start to take away from the warfighter, the young E6 and E6 enlisted soldier and below, and you take their basic allowance housing, you take away their commissary goods that they're be able to purchase at a reasonable cost, and now you're saying you're going to make them pay into TRICARE, we're decimating the backbone of our military with the lower enlisted. They come up out of pocket on expenses already, and now to say go ahead and we're going to ask more of you, already the burden that they've placed on themselves, it's outlandish.
Chad, we appreciate it. We're going to ask Chad to stick around to discuss threats to our national security and the implementation of counterterrorism measures. That's still to come. We want to hear from you as well. Weigh in and participate in the discussion. Tweet us your questions at Newsmax TV, #America's Forum, or visit us at Facebook.